So the new CRD hit a couple days ago, and we lost two cards that one was unsurprising, one wasn't so much. So I'm gonna make sure that this is completely on my microphone, audio, whatever. It says it's on, because I tried to do a Majin Vegeta review, and that didn't go quite well, because what do you know? If you actually don't put on your audio, it doesn't record. So I must have muted it a while ago. I don't know why I would ever mute OBS other than just I don't know why I do it, but maybe I just flicked it off thinking it was a desktop audio, because I honestly didn't want you guys hearing my music in the background. But otherwise, it was kind of a waste of time in retrospect, but shit happens. So I deleted it, and I just kind of kicked it under the bucket, because I think someone already ignored it, so, or has already done it, so whatever. Whether or not I'll do the new styled cards, whether or not, I'll do a review on the new styled cards based on style, so I'll do like black in one style, blue in one style, orange, red, and so on. I don't know. There's a high chance that I will, but, or not a high chance that I will. There's a high chance that I'll do like one or two styles, but for the most part, I'm not going to promise anything. I might, there's a high chance that I will. I want to do at least the Saiyan, because Saiyan Rampaging Mastery is my favorite mastery in the game. Well, one of my favorite masteries in the game. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good up to this point, but whether or not it'll be very, very good or not has yet to be seen. But I'm going to kind of discuss the Orange Retribution Retrospect, and moreover, I'm going to kind of talk about, well, I'll probably talk more about Red Tactical Drill first, but Orange Retribution will probably be the primary goal here. Okay, so let's talk about Red Tactical Drill first. I am going to actually talk about that a little bit more. To me, Red Tactical Drill's freezing was somewhat surprising. Not necessarily because I think Red Tactical Drill is bad, per se. I just don't think Red Tactical Drill should have been frozen. Keyword should have been frozen. Okay, so let me kind of discuss the entire point of Red Tactical Drill. Almost every red deck in the game. I'm sure there are wild exceptions. I think like Draku with Unleashed, or Broly with Unleashed, or whatever. Almost every red deck in the game or maybe not is, but are anger decks, to the point where anger is necessary. So even if you're not playing Ascension Trunks, for example, you're probably still going to get anger. You're probably still going to want to get your anger. You're probably still going to want to level off your anger. And unless you're running Unleashed, you're probably going to want to go for anger gain. Okay? I've always joked about how if Red Enraged ever came back into the game, Enraged Trunks would be the best thing in the world. It would be unbeatable. It would be, say, an oppressive level of unbeatable. But this kind of reverts. This just all this saying reverts back to the obvious statement that Red loves anger. So Red Tactical Drill has been around since set 1, and Red Tactical Drill wasn't even considered freezable up to this point, because Red Tactical Drill did not do anything until recently, with Red Amplified floating around, which I played Red Amplified enough to know most about it. I'm not a dedicated Red player. I might make a video on that too, like why I don't really play this game as much as I want, as much as most people do. But I'm still kind of in that category of still interested to the point of discussion. But Red Tactical Drill honestly has not seen play up to this point, mostly because leveling with anger was somewhat irrelevant, and MPPV is somewhat irrelevant, and slow anger gain with Red was somewhat irrelevant up to this point. Okay. So if we go to set 1 and we go to Red Anger, Tactical Drill, if you were running Red properly, you'd probably be leveling up a little too quickly for tactical drill to work properly. Now let's jump. Now I'm gonna skip the first 3 sets and go straight to set 4 because I know set 4. I started this game in set 4. So we get to Red Ruthless. And what is the most powerful Red Ruthless deck up to this point? Turles, right? Turles has that +2 stage modifier, your attacks can't be prevented. You're probably going to want to camp level 1 if you're playing Red Ruthless Turles. You revert back to Red Enraged. I wasn't too savvy on the whole meta, but Red Enraged was one of those but to me Red Enraged was one of those masteries that you were probably playing Frieza. I think I've seen someone play Red Enraged Frieza. Otherwise, I think Red Enraged was kind of one of those backdrop MPs, or excuse me, masteries, one of those MP masteries that people just kind of disassociated with until set 5 rolled around and we had Red Enraged Roshi kind of floating around. You know, Red Enraged Roshi, because after the Cell nerf, people wanted that new hotness. I remember Scott Dashie created the Red Enraged Roshi, and then that started floating around, and people had a lot of fun with that. Then we get to set 7. Then we get to set 6. Set 6, we have Broly, which most people probably ran in Power Broly or Ruthless Broly. Most people kind of disregarded Red Tactical Drill altogether because you were probably running Clash of Wills, which meant you really didn't need to worry about lowering your anger. Your anger didn't really need to worry about being lowered, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So you didn't really have a use for Tactical Drill. Then you get to set 7, and then Enrage gets shut off, and then we have Ascension. And chances are, if you're playing Red, you're probably going to be playing Red Ascension if you're playing Red Ascension for the anger gain. For Trunks, Ascension Trunks, Ferrari Trunks, whatever the fuck you call it, you'd probably not be running Red Tactical Drill because you're probably leveling up so quickly that drills are kind of irrelevant unless you're playing Sword Drill. So at the end of the day, so then we get to set 8 and 9, and then it's kind of the same idea. You know, if you are running Ascension, you are probably not running Tactical Drill because you're leveling up way too quickly. If you're playing Ruthless, you're probably playing Ruthless Broly or Ruthless Draku, and they're leveling up because of Clash of Wills, because of Unleashed, because of Goku's Kaioken. So it's like Red Tactical Drill is still kind of irrelevant at this point. And then we get to set 10, and then we released Amplified Drill and Amplified Mastery, Red Amplified Mastery. And then we start looking at a different perspective. And now it's like, well, now we have this kind of slow residual anger that kind of emphasizes that you kind of have this low anger because we have Red Controlled Anger Drill. So we have that 3 anger, or that 4 anger, you're rejuvenating 4. So you're kind of sitting there, you know, at 4 anger, you're not leveling up any higher. Your opponent's dropping cards that lower your anger like crazy. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think that there are more lower your opponent's anger cards in the past 3 sets than there were in the past 7 in the entirety of this game. I might be wrong on that. I'm probably very wrong on that. But it seems like almost every card in the game has a lower your opponent's anger mechanic to it. Which halts Red, which is the entire weakness of Red Amplified at least. Maybe not Red Ascension, but Red Amplified at least. Is lowering your opponent's anger, and that's what Tactical Drill stopped. And people started seeing the value of Tactical Drill because now we kind of have this mastery that emphasizes that slow anger kind of gain that doesn't really have a mastery, or excuse me, that is a more diverse mastery. So now it's not just Draku or Broly who want to level up really, really quickly, or Trunks that is allowing that fast level up pace. It can kind of play a little bit a slower anger gain. Or a slower anger game, rather. So, with that said, Red Tactical Drill prevented the one thing that Red Amplified was benefiting off of, and that was that slow anger. To me, at least, that Red Tactical Drill, that drill, did not make that archetype. No, it did not make that. Even if you really sat there and took it in consideration, Red Tactical Drill did not increase that archetype. They did not make that archetype. Okay? the I'd say that the slow anger archetype was made better because of controlled anger drill, getting that rejuvenation off, getting that 4 rejuvenation, that solid clean 4 rejuvenation off. Cards like Red Duck, which is a card that was heavily slept on up to this point because they did not have that slow anger that slow anger game, is now seeing a lot more value because now there's more to it. There's more anger that you can kind of sit on. I think Red Tactical Drill benefited this archetype like crazy, but then again, Red Tactical Drill benefiting the slow anger game, that slow anger play is like Orange Aura Drill benefiting the energy beatdown sort of mentality. So it's like, to me, this drill is so powerful yet so weak in that regard because it's Red Tactical Drill, because it benefits that slow anger gain, but it doesn't benefit the slow anger gain to the point of breaking it. I think red controlled anger drill does a lot more for the archetype than Red Tactical Drill does. And Red Tactical Drill is one of those drills that it became like include at least two in every red deck, especially red amplified deck. But even then, you still revert it back. We don't have Enraged anymore. Ruthless doesn't really care too much about anger gain, like, unless you're playing that slow anger game. But if you are, you're probably not playing Ruthless properly, or you're playing Amplified, where that benefits the most. But again, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because it's like Aura Drill in Orange Adept Mastery. Orange Adaptive. Excuse me. If you're playing Orange Adaptive, you're probably playing an energy beats deck anyway. So why freeze a drill that is benefiting an archetype that isn't necessarily breaking the game? Red Amplified is good. Like, I've been messing around with it. Red Amplified Krillin. I've tried Red Amplified Gohan. I tried a fair bit of Red Amplified, and I'm kind of getting pissed off at it because it's the only deck that I really seriously can build at this point. But well, actually that's not true, but you get the idea. Red Tactical Drill, but it's like, to me at least, Red Tactical Drill was never breaking it. It was never breaking it. I don't think it was breaking really anything. And while it was a 2 include, it was not the 2 include to end all 2 includes. You didn't need it. Like, you didn't need it forever and ever and ever and ever. This was not breaking an archetype. This card was not like Unleashed. Back in, what was it, 6 months ago? Maybe a year ago, where people were bitching about Orange Unleashed. Excuse me, not Orange Unleashed. Oops. Orange is getting its own Unleashed? Wow, they really do favor Orange. No. When Unleashed was floating around, it was considered the most OP card in the game. And they needed to freeze it, and so on and so forth. To me, Red Tactical Drill was never on that level. And while it did make that slow anger game really, really good, I don't think it really, really broke the game. To me, I never sat down and thought to myself, Red Tactical Drill will break this game, and I still don't think that. So, do I think the freeze was justifiable? Despite everything I just said? Yes and no. Yes, I think it was necessary because Red's biggest weakness is lower your anger. And I know there is a shit ton of lower your opponent's anger, cards floating around right now, and almost every card has, like, lower your opponent's anger. I still don't think it should have been frozen to the degree that it did. I think maybe it would have been limited to 1 and errated. This card cannot be rejuvenated when you lower your opponent's level, or when you advance or lower a level. When you change levels, banish this drill, and then you don't get that benefit off, and then you have to deal with it. But if they seriously wanted to get rid of Tactical Drill, I do not think they needed to freeze it. I think they could have just left it. I think they could have limited it. I think they could have given it a banish when you change level clause. Otherwise, I don't think Red Tactical Drill was the be-all, end-all, absolute destruction, can't really do anything about it, you know? It was not to the degree... I'm trying to think of another broken card. It's not to the degree of On the Move, I think. On the Move, I think, is a very, very, very good card. But it's like, if On the Move is like that really, really good card, like that super good card, Tactical Drill is a super good card. It's not that level. It's not to that level. If On the Move is a super good card, Red Tactical Drill is not even close to that. You know, to me, it's a staple. It became a staple in a certain archetype. It's a staple, and it's not even a staple in the sense that Checkup Drill is a staple. It's not even a staple in the sense that saying Gut Kick, well, maybe not, but it's not that level in an auto. It's not an auto include, you know. I don't think it really ever was, to be fair, unless you're playing Red Amplified, which reverts back to the argument, you know, or a drill in Energy Beats deck, in an Orange Energy Beats deck. It's, you know, Stay and Spin Kick in a Balku deck. You know, it's so necessary. It's like, it wasn't overpowered. It was necessary, but it was not overpowered, in my opinion. It was very, very annoying because you couldn't lower your opponent's anger when you had all this lower your opponent's anger bullshit going on. But at the same time, it was never that level of destruction. It was never that level of just bad. So, my advice, or my stance on it, if they seriously wanted to get rid of it, I think freezing it straight up was not really one of those things. I don't think that was like the worst thing in the world, but I don't think it was the best thing in the world. It was like they could have done it a little bit different and still kept Red Tactical Drill, but at the same time, it's like if they seriously wanted to get rid of it, they did. But I don't think it was breaking the game in the same sense that a lot of other cards do or did. Speaking of broken cards, we now lose Orange Retribution. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have never sat down and seriously said to myself, I want to play Orange Retribution. I'm an Orange player, or I have been for a while. You know, I played Orange Adapt. Well, I did play Orange Adept Gohan. I advocated for it for a lot. Orange Adaptive Yamcha was the first deck that I seriously wanted to build. That I actually sought out and sought cards for to build. It was okay. It's still, Orange Adaptive Yamcha was pretty good. It's not the best right now, but it's pretty good. I've considered Orange Retribution Roshi, but that fad died out in like 3 days. So to really sit down and say that I seriously loved Orange Retribution which was a complete and utter understatement, or not an understatement, an overstatement, because I never played it. I never played it seriously. I attempted it, but that's about it. I attempted, what else did I attempt? I attempted a handful of other things with Orange Retribution, but overall, I, for one, did not care about Orange Retribution. Not enough to the point of, completely destroying myself in order to play it. So, here, boot it up real quick, because I have to refresh myself, because I don't remember fully what this thing does. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have it right in front of me, but the text is... The text looks like something out of like a, you know, alien race out of like Warhammer or something. So a lot of people bitched. So to me, this is what I like to call the 3 effect mastery. In set 10, I kind of noticed there was a correlation between the masteries in the sense that they all had about a good few of them had about 3 effects. And I was like, I always thought, you know, a couple of them had like really like 3 effects. I'm like, wow, 3 effects. That's really powerful, because now you got 3 things that you can benefit from. It's not just 1 or 2, you know. So, but Orange Retribution Mastery was, I think, the one that started all that. Okay, it did too much. You got a free non-constant drill at the start of the game. Now, a lot of people were like, "Well, how really good is that? Is that super good, or is that?" You know, it's like, it's very, very good, because Orange Retribution was regarded as a mastery that did too much. So, basically, it's a 2 anger it's an anger deck. A lot of people like anger. It's an anger deck. A lot of people get to those latter levels a lot more quickly. Trunks was huge. And there's probably a comprehensive laundry list of all of the good Orange Retributions. It was joked that every Orange Retribution deck in the game is at least a tier 1.5 or something, because it was Orange Retribution. A lot of people regarded it for doing too much, and I kind of agree. Kind of. I'll explain why I semi-disagree. Well, moreover, because I haven't really seen... I quote-unquote semi-disagree, mostly because I haven't really seen, a lot of people... I've never really seen it in action to the point of, well, shit, this is Orange Retribution. I did spectate that, or not spectate, I did watch the live stream of the Black Mischievous Frieza and the Orange Retribution Trunks that was floating around. So, but to say I fully sat down and had a comprehensive laundry list and sat down and really saw Orange Retribution as the most OP card or OP mastery in the game right now is a false statement. But one thing I did hate about Orange Retribution that I could see right off the bat is that it did a little bit of everything in the game. It did a little bit of everything. You got your MPPV because you did your 2 anger. You have your next styled attack you perform in this combat has its power stage reduced to 0. That benefits almost everything. That benefits energy attacks, physical attacks, if your MP has changed levels of combat, search your life deck for a style drill and place it into play. It's here's this long comprehensive laundry list of shit that it's enabled you to do, and then plus you have that 2 anger gain off, so now you're getting all of this anger. I'm kind of seeing the light of it, and then it's benefiting you way too much. Even Orange Adaptive, to me, I think Orange Adaptive is the standard deck. Or if you were to look back and compare Orange Adaptive, a lot of people who played Orange Adaptive honestly did not level as quickly as they think they should, as they had. Because when Orange Adaptive was at its prime, a lot of people ran Devouring Drill because that was really the only super effective way to get that anger. I know there was over 9,000, but at that point, that stage in the game, set 4 roughly, there was not a whole lot of ways to level off quickly. There was I'll Dig Your Grave, and then there was Goku's Kaioken, but I don't think a lot of people played Orange Adaptive Kaioken. Goku's Kaioken, rather. And then Drillku at that point, or Broku. And then there was, it's over 9,000, but there was not a real hard, a super good dedicated way to level, especially in Orange, so people played at Orange, especially at my locals, especially because we didn't have a shit ton of money, so we didn't have those super powerful cards until much later in the game. But there wasn't a whole lot of dedicated leveling function. This enables you to level not only quickly, but it gives you too much of your power. It gives you too much power, I think. It's there's way too much benefiting it, not enough breaking it, because we go back to Adaptive, and Adaptive's oh, your energy attacks do +1 life card of damage. Oh, that's good. Oh, your drills can't be discarded when you're leveling. Okay, well, that's not really that big a deal, because most people probably weren't leveling too quickly with Orange Adaptive, and most of the time it really didn't matter. And then it's and if you crit, you can get a drill from your discard pile, so it's okay, it was good, but it wasn't eh. Orange Retribution, to me, set the standard for all other Orange decks. And even if you really sat down and thought to yourself, hey, Adaptive's pretty good, or hey, Adaptive's pretty good, Orange Retribution kind of sat there and said, well, is it on my level? Is it on my level? Is it benefiting you in the same way that you would? Because you get all your drills back, you don't have to worry about running cards Orange Refocus and things like that, because you can shuffle them all back into your life deck, you don't really worry about that. That enables you to get shit Orange Checkup Drill pretty much a lot, because this is before Orange Checkup Drill was limited to 1, and before drills had mastery, or excuse me, not mastery, memory. So it's oh, I could level, get a block, I can get a block with whatever the fuck I use for. I'm an Orange player, I should know this. Orange PowerPoint, I get checkup drill, and then I level, get rid of shuffle checkup drill, and then get another checkup drill, and then I get another block. It's like this constant loop just kind of pissed a lot of people off. And I would like to say Orange Retribution Mastery was not as strong as it was on first release, but it's still very, very strong. To me, I think Orange Retribution Mastery set the standard. Now that I'm looking at it, it set the standard for all other Orange decks, because sure, you could run Orange Adaptive Mastery, but if you did, you'd still have to pay for all the stages. You'd still have to, if you leveled, you'd keep all your drills, but you wouldn't be leveling quickly, so you were kind of stuck using cards that either bit you in the ass, cards that didn't have, a lot of support to you. You ran, I think it was Orange Shopping. No, not Orange Shopping. It was like, I forget the card. It was Orange Dressing Room, I think. So you get that equipped for Unleashed, and then you had cards like, just kind of mumbling to myself at this point. You had cards like, it's over 9,000 and so on and so forth, but you really weren't leveling you didn't have a lot of dedicated leveling function, which most decks didn't really care about that, but some Orange Adaptive decks didn't really care about that. Adept was like, Adept is a pain in, like, I play Adept Mastery, I love Adept. Adept is a pain in the ass to play, because there's a lot of shuffling, there's a lot of drill shuffling, drill flipping, so on and so forth, but you didn't have, with that, it wasn't as powerful as Orange Retribution, because Orange Retribution was, if you wanted to dedicate level to, getting your levels off, Adept Mastery didn't really do that. And while it did have its benefits and it did have its moments, Orange Adept does have its moments, and I love Orange Adept, it did not set the standard. And then Combative Mastery, what Combative Mastery did was, Combative Mastery made it say, okay, so if you get cards in the discard pile pretty quickly, I can benefit off that. Orange Retribution says, why worry about that? You get all your drills back. So it's like, the more I think about this, it's like, there's a shit ton benefiting it, and there wasn't a shit ton negating it. And it was definitely not as powerful as it was before, but was freezing Orange Retribution Mastery necessary, which is the grandiose question. And in my view, yes and no. Like 90% yes, 10% no. 90% yes. Like 90% of the time I would have like, yeah, I don't think anyone would miss Orange Retribution Mastery. I think Cooler would miss Orange Retribution Mastery, but if Orange Retribution Cooler players seriously want to play Orange Retribution, just play Orange Combative. That's very good. That's a very, very good archetype. So on and so forth. But to me, this is one of those masteries that's just, is it a breath of fresh air? Yes, because now, I think someone brought this up on the comment section on a retro. They said, now there are other archetypes out there, now there are other decks out there that can and will be run because they have that anger gain now, because they weren't blown out of the water for Orange Retribution Mastery. And I kind of agree. Like, I heavily agree, which is that 90%. Like, I agree. Now we have, now decks like Saiyan Rampaging, because of the set 11 cards, we'll probably start seeing more play. I might make a review on Nappa, so I'll list down the cards that I might make, the videos I might make reviews on. But, Rampaging might see more play. Ascension already started seeing more play, but we might see even more play now, because Retribution, because Retribution's gone. There's, most people are probably playing Ascension Trunks, not Retribution Trunks. They're still gaining a shit ton of anger, but they're not gaining a shit ton of anger with a deck or with an archetype with a style that has +2 anger cards, like 30 +2 anger cards, like 30, like 10 to 1, like it's like 10 +2 anger cards, and Red over here who has like one or two. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird how that goes. Again, Saiyan Rampaging might be seeing more play. What else? I think the Namekian archetype as a whole. Well, maybe not the Namekian archetype as a whole. Namekian's still pretty decent. It's not super good right now. But Orange, I think, coming from an Orange player who's never played Orange Retribution super seriously, I will not miss Orange Retribution for the reason of I don't think Orange straight up needs it. I think every Orange Mastery in the game right now is very, very good, even with Orange Retribution gone. And this kind of says, if you seriously want to continue playing Orange, you can. And there are very good masteries that you can play with them. But I don't think Orange Retribution will be missed coming from an Orange player's perspective. Now, that 10% of why I don't want it to go away, or the 10% where I'm like, yeah, no, it didn't need to be frozen, was the simplistic manner that Orange Retribution is just another mastery that we can play. It's another option. But in hindsight, that reason that it's just another option that we can play is still kind of swept into the background, because it's like there's still a plethora of options. So it's like even the 10% reason, it's more like a 5% reason at this point, now that I realize that, you know, there are still many other options, is that it's just there's still a shit ton of options. So why would I quit? Like, why would I hold on to this one considered OP mastery just because it's another option when there are a plethora of options? You know what? It's like a 2% at this point. 2% yeah, no, 98% yes. So, and the only reason, again, I never really saw it as powerful as it was because I never played it. I never played again, so it's like, oh, whoop-de-doo, Orange Retribution Mastery, I don't understand the nooks and crannies and why, and I cannot probably sit down and explain to you why it's overpowered, like I just presented to you. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily disagreeing on the statement that it should have stuck around for as long as it did. So, those are my stance on the Orange Retribution, Orange Tactical. To kind of break it down in the easiest method. Red Tactical Drill. Frozen. Did it need to be frozen? No, not really. Could it have been frozen in another method? Yes. Could it have been errated if they seriously, truly wanted to get rid of it? Or if they wanted to make it less effective? Yes. If they wanted to get rid of it, they did the best comprehensible way. Orange Retribution Mastery. I didn't realize how overpowered it was until I actually sat down and read the damn thing. 98% of me says yes, this deck should have been frozen, and 2% of me says it shouldn't, purely because it was just another option. But even then, it's still not that good of an option. It's still kind of dumb. So, all that said, I think that's it for this video. So I do have some videos planned out. I might discuss the new, strong emphasis on the new styled cards, my stance, how I think they would fit best in the archetype, their chosen archetypes. The stance on why I don't play a shit ton anymore, but that might just be one of those glamour videos. Like, I hate videos that just kind of revolve around me. I kind of want to discuss, I want more videos that discuss the game as a whole, so I might or may not make that video. And then Rampaging Nappa, I might make a video on Rampaging and Rampaging Nappa, because apparently people are calling that cancer, even though it has yet to be played once in a major tournament, and I think a lot of people have been neglecting the idea that you actually have to sit down and test something before you actually get it. So I think a lot of people are judging the book by its cover. But otherwise, I think that is it for this video. My name is Joey, and I'll see you, I'll probably be on Retro later.